Hello, I hear there is an interest around the office for some new material. But look no further. I have the series for you. I wanted to, I've been thinking on an idea of a children slash mystery type series, which I thought on animation, but as after I did some research, I found out that animation was more time consuming and also it is very expensive, which I thought it was cheaper, but it's not. So I did a little more research and found out that if I did live, or if we did live with without the computer generated images, that it was a cheaper route, but it can yet be a very good film. Trying to keep the cost also down, the budget lower, but come up with a very brilliant series that can be enjoyed by families. The series is called Patrick and Bobo, which Patrick is a little boy that was born to his parents at a kind of a middle age time in their lives. And even from birth, he was special. Well, his grandfather gave him a stuffed animal after he come home from the hospital, which was a little stuffed puppy. But Patrick grew close to that puppy, that stuffed puppy, and he also grew close to his grandfather. As time went on, when Patrick was around a year old, his grandfather died. And even being at a young age, he yet realized something had happened. So Patrick began to cling closer and closer to that stuffed animal. He carried it to the bathroom. He slept with it. He took it to the daycare. He was never separated from that stuffed animal. So, as a normal parents with a child that has a what I want to call it, whether they're a blanket or they be attached to their security, which was his puppy. But it was something very unique about this stuffed animal. So as Patrick began to grow, they lived in a small town, and whereas in other normal places they have crimes, they have mysteries, they have things that happen that sometimes seem like police department cannot solve. So Patrick already had begun at the age of 4 and 5 and 6. He had already begun to have show special characteristics that was unique and different from other children his age. Patrick was very smart in school. He was very intelligent, very brilliant, bright young man. And his parents just took it as his uniqueness as being different. Like we all have different qualities. But he had this special spark. As he began to get in the age of 12 and 13, he was more interested, even from a child, into detective work. He would always, look at the news. He would always, want to know about what was going on in town about this crime. So his parents just took it as him finding his way into adulthood of what he wanted to do. So when he was around the age of 12 or 13, Patrick um, decided that he wanted to help in his city. But even at the age of 12 and 13, he yet always kept Bobo with him. Wherever he went, he had Bobo. So when different crimes and mysteries would come about in the town, Patrick was always there. He would always be inquisitive about what's going on and seeking out what's happening and what was happening, different things, the people that were involved. Patrick somehow or another would always, with Bobo, save the day. Patrick would always save the day. He figured out what happened to Mrs. Helen's water hose. He figured out who broke into Mr. Winston's house. Where other people couldn't seem to figure. He had this certain genius about him. So as he began to become an adult age, say around 20, he decided he wanted to be a detective. He finished school, went to police academy. He began to build his way up to being a detective, and he had a great career in it. He was always this great crime solver. But even in his adult years, Patrick yet had bubble. So he still began to solve crimes and mysteries just like he normally, just like other police shows, but they never could figure out why he was so good at it. Where was his brilliance and this coming from? Why was he so smart, and how could he figure out so many things? He built his way up to being head detective. So, as time rolled on, his mother passed, and his father had gotten old and feeble. And one day, him and his father decided that they would have their talk. They would have talks, but this day was different. His father began to be curious of his way of doing detective work and how brilliant he was at it. And he sat down and he says, Patrick said, all your life you've been interested in crime and mysteries, and you've been good at it. So, but you're different than other detectives. You seem to have a way about of coming to the head of it, to finding out what really happened. And you've been like that ever since you was a little toddler. And I was just wondering, is it something, how do you do it? How do you do it? Well, Patrick had thought once to, tell his father, at least his parents, what was going on, why he was so good. So, but he felt like they wouldn't really believe him. So on this particular day, he decided, well, okay, I'm going to tell you what's my secret. And Patrick began to tell his father that the stuffed animal that his grandfather gave him, when his grandfather passed, his spirit was in that puppy. And his spirit was the one that was helping him to solve crimes, mysteries, that led him and guided him in how to do. That was always his secret weapon. But in the series, not only would it just be there's going to be brilliant and great ideas, great crimes that happen that a young man his age normally couldn't be able to solve. But I thought this would be the end of it, of the series, is the idea that Patrick revealed to his father where his greatness come from, where his ideas, where he could figure out. He got his wisdom from the spirit of his grandfather, and he was able to solve many crimes and mysteries. That is going to be the key to it, the uniqueness of how he was able to do it and where he was getting his knowledge from. So that's why he was so close to the stuffed animal, and how he was so good at crime. But in saying that, the plan is to have many different, unique mysteries and crimes that keep your mind, thinking what's going to happen next, So I wanted to do something that was family friendly, that a parent and a child could share together, something that would give them something to do, once a week. The show would come on, that they could do something. There'd be family time together. I figured it would be a good family time together, and it would intrigue people to find out where Patrick was getting his knowledge from. But I think it's a good idea. I believe in the way that I looked at and researched on the budget, it would be cost effective, and I believe that it would be a good idea, that families would love it, and I believe they would enjoy watching it. Thank you.